kind of looking maybe a little bit more closely at what's going on here in the United States, I'm a little bit concerned. Just even this week, there have been some news reports that have come out that have really caught me off guard as to the state of our country, and where we're at just as people in our culture. Dick's Sporting Goods reported earnings last, let's see, I think it was 2 days ago, yesterday or the day before. And they dropped significantly because the company is dealing with a huge problem with what we politically correctly call shrinkage. In other words, theft. People are stealing stuff right and left from the company's stores, from the company's warehouses, from supply chains. And this is not related specifically to Dick's. They just happen to be the last one, the latest company to report this. We've seen Target have a huge issue with this. Walmart has been dealing with it a little bit better than others. But companies are having to. I'm sure you guys have probably gone into Walgreens or CVS, and you have to ask somebody to open a shelf for you to be able to buy something. This is a big deal because they've got everything locked up because people are just walking in and taking what they want and leaving. And in a lot of ways, this is frustrating because people are not being prosecuted for stealing, and so it creates even more incentive for this to continue to happen. But it's not just stealing. It seems to be a whole culture movement. I live in Atlanta. One of the latest. I'm not a TikTok person, but one of the latest things that's kind of erupting on TikTok, and my kids are sharing it with me, and I'm seeing it from friends, is this whole trend of people stopping traffic. There will be like 6 or 8 or 10 cars that'll stop traffic on a highway so that people can do donuts in the highway and put people at risk, completely clog up the highways. And then earlier this week, there was a situation where they stopped traffic in an intersection. There was somebody doing donuts in the intersection and literally started getting chased by the police and ran over 2 or 3 people before getting pulled over by the police car. It feels like America is moving into a place where morals and ethics and what's right and wrong just doesn't matter, and that's scary for our culture. It's scary for our society, and it's also something that we have to pay attention to when it comes to our investments. This whole brazen, selfish, me-centered culture naturally leads people to steal and cause this shrinkage or theft. But then what do companies do to combat that? Well, they have to lock things up, which means that they're going to sell less, which means that their profits are going to be lower, or they have to hire plainclothes policemen to continue to walk through the aisles. I think that's what TJ Maxx and possibly Ross stores have done to offset this. They have people walking around, and if you pick up to cost money, and it means that companies have to raise prices to be able to generate a profit, which means that the honest, hardworking people like you and me who are buying these things have to pay more. It's another factor that's driving inflation higher, and it's one that we're talking about the theft, but I don't think we're really talking about how that affects those of us who work hard, earn an honest living, try to do the best that we can for our society. We go out and purchase things for our families, and we're having to pay not just for our things that we're buying, but we're paying for the things that are being stolen along the way. And then as investors, it causes us to lose money simply because many of these stocks are not moving higher as they should in a growing economy because the companies are making less profit. So I don't want to bang the table. I don't want to get too pessimistic here, but it's just something that we need to be aware of, and something that concerns me as a person and also as an investor too. Matt, do you have any
Yeah,
thoughts, or we
yeah. Zach and I talk
created
about this.
ideas?
We have our editorial meetings. We talk about this, but we talk about it personally all the time, and it's an important thing. And I just want to make sure if you're watching at home, right? Um, I think we're probably of the like mind. You see what's going on in America, and you see all this stuff with again, they call it organized crime. That's a very nice way to put it. It's they're like, oh, there's organized crime ring. You think of like the mob and like this like weird. It's like no, this is just like gangs or social media or whatever, and they're just blatantly robbing stores in a very blunt way. So it's not good, and it's happened all over the country. We're seeing it more on the news, and we're seeing a little bit of backlash, but it's all part of Zach. We've talked about this, and just making sure you at home watching, we're like minded in seeing this. It's a lack of leadership in our country. We
Mhm.
don't have the right laws in place. We don't have the right politicians to make the hard decisions to put the right laws in place. And then you're
We don't
getting
enforce the
places,
laws when when they
yeah,
are in place.
like I'm just this will be a great advertisement for Baltimore. I'm just happy over the last like 3 or 4 years that some other cities have joined us. Like Baltimore was like, I feel like we were the ones that was like, oh, we're just decriminalizing everything, and it's like streets are dangerous and all this stuff. Now all of a sudden I look around, it's like, well, Chicago, they look pretty bad. It's like, well, some places out in California, they look pretty bad, and then it's like Atlanta, that's looking pretty bad because it's a systemic problem. We don't have leaders that can solve these problems. We've been decriminalizing stuff. We've been making things seem like it's okay. And then when it comes to corporations, they're doing the same thing. The leadership in the country has made it so like police can't really do their jobs. They're making it so like the social tide is turning. So like Dick's or Target or Walmart can't tackle thieves. So then they just stop, and then they probably just up their insurance premiums, and then they pay off all this stuff. And all it does is cost us more money. So what
Hmm.
is the main point? Lack of leadership, politicians make bad decisions, and it costs us money. They're overspending, they're creating problems in society. And this problem is spinning on a flywheel on its own and creating more problems. At some point in time, we're going to have to fix it, and it's going to cost money. We're going to have to refund the police. We're going to have to redo all of this stuff, and it's going to cost money. So if we want to have that tie-in to economics and the markets, Zach, like you said, this is going to have an impact on company by company because shrinkage and all these different things, like who reacts properly to this, they could be the winners and some will be losers. But the other thing is, big picture, I don't think inflation's going away. I don't think U.S. Deficit spending, that stuff's not going away. We have big problems here that we're going to need to solve, and it's going to cost a lot of money. So we talk about it all the time, but if you want to bank on something, it's more spending and more inflation because we have so much debt, 31 trillion plus. You can't get rid of that debt unless you inflate your way out of it. You monetize the debt. We've been talking about it for decades or whatever. And that's what's going to happen. So keep an eye on that. These are just layers you got to keep your eye on. The dollar is going to lose its reserve currency status at some point. The government is going to inflate your money to the point where, like, in 20 years, you're going to have half or whatever it is. I don't know what track we're on right now, but it's ugly. Inflation's at whatever level it is. So these are just things and giant themes that Jim Rickards and Zach cover all the time, and you got to be ahead of them, and you got to keep them as part of your investment thesis. So, Zach, let's keep going. I mean, I think we just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure everyone knows that we're seeing the same thing out there, and you're not crazy. This is some bonkers stuff happening. We got a drought of leadership, and it's going to cost us money.